Great. So, tell us what are the things you told people in there? We were listening, but in a nutshell, what's your message to the OEA?
I think, first of all, that teachers are really feeling unsupported and disrespected in this state. And I have heard that in every single corner of the state that I've gone to. They'll all tell you that stress levels with teachers is going through the roof, and stress levels actually with parents and students is going through the roof, which of course doesn't help the teachers either. So first of all, I wanted to let them know that I was supportive. I don't blame them for the fact that we face educational challenges, and that's something that they definitely don't feel that attitude from this current governor. And then I laid out a number of just general principles. We'll be more specific as time goes on of things that we should be providing at the state level, which includes a higher degree of state funding, a move away from failing charter schools, and more accountability with charter schools. Less of an emphasis on this high-stakes testing, which is not going well, and the writing is on the wall that it's going to continue, I think, to be very problematic. So those are a few of the principles that I mentioned, and I think that we're not going to get to where we want to be without including the teachers. If we try to act like the teachers are the enemies of education, even though they've dedicated their lives to that, we're never going to get to where we need to be. And they needed to hear that message, and I think they appreciated it.
So this past Tuesday, you talked about getting 83% of the vote. And that's very good. The problem seems to be that only 17% of registered Ohio voters came out to vote.
Yeah.
And as you know, in 2010, only 49% of registered voters came out to vote. Right. John Kasich won by 2%. Yeah. How can you expect to win if your voter base doesn't turn out?
Well, there were contested races statewide. So there was a contested Senate primary back in 2010, and that affected turnout then. It's what I said to the teachers here is that we have to have an education process and conversation that goes on with the voters in this state about what's really at stake. People turn out for elections where they think they have something at stake. And we have a lot of issues where I think we can make a very compelling case that whether it's cuts to education or 50% of the cuts to the local government fund or everybody's sales taxes going up, there's a lot of issues, or the fact that half the state is still living paycheck to paycheck. There's a lot of compelling issues, and we've got to make that, got 6 months to convince people that it's in their best interest to vote.
I understand. Where does Common Core fit into your policies, or does it?
Well, my biggest concern with it right now is the way that it's been implemented. If you talk to a lot of teachers here, they'll tell you that they're not necessarily opposed philosophically to the principles of Common Core, but the way it's been rolled out by the state has been basically in the same manner as an unfunded mandate. Same thing that people would tell you about a third grade reading guarantee. I don't oppose the concept of saying that third graders should read at grade level. Everybody agrees with that, but it's how do you roll it out? If you roll it out without the resources and without the planning, then you're going to basically fall into this trap of high-stakes testing without providing the resources that you need for people to actually succeed. What the governor's doing is he's underfunding education, and the substitute for that is just arbitrarily declaring unfunded mandates and policies to say, well, we're going to have good schools because we said so. Well, it's not going to work.
So would you do away with the third grade reading guarantee?
Well, what I called on today was a moratorium for this year of the consequences of it. Because almost any teacher in this room that is in an elementary school classroom will tell you that they weren't given the resources or the time to fully phase it in a way that's fair either to the students or their parents. And to just give basically an ultimatum to a child to say, if you don't pass this test, we're going to pull you out of class and you're not going to be with your peer group anymore, is I think very unwise. So I think right now the governor ought to admit that they didn't do their homework on this, they didn't do the background work with this, they didn't lay the foundation for it. They ought to declare a moratorium for this year, and then we'll take it on a year-by-year basis. And maybe once we start providing the proper support, then we could have a policy like that, but we don't right now.
So you are not calling for an end to the third grade reading guarantee?
I'm not calling for the concept to be abandoned. I am calling for the fact that it's being used as another round of high-stakes testing, where this time you're saying, if you don't pass it, we're going to pull you out of class. And that, I think, is a mistake when they haven't put the resources. When you cut $500 million out of education, why would you be surprised when the data right now is showing that such a large percentage are going to be are going to flunk it? If you don't provide comprehensive UPK, why are you surprised that kids aren't reading at grade level by the third grade? It's very predictable.